Meet Eliza, a poor girl whose world turns upside down when she finds out she's accidentally married to Nolan Barrett, Oceanian's most powerful billionaire. But what hurt her the most was that Nolan pretended not to know her when they met again. Get ready for one of the most powerful stories you've ever heard. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. You're already married. Why are you here to register again? Don't you realize it's a crime to be a bigamist? Eliza Monroe stood frozen on the courthouse steps, clutching a freshly printed marriage certificate. The man she had hired to pose as her groom for the registration stared at her in disbelief. "Miss Monroe, you're already married. Why did you hire me for a sham wedding?" he asked, his voice tinged with frustration. "The deposit's non-refundable," he added before storming off. Eliza bit her lip, her mind spinning. Married? She had never even had a boyfriend. How could she possibly be married? She glanced down at the certificate in her trembling hands. The photo showed her tense with a forced smile. The mole near her eye confirmed it was indeed her, but the man beside her. He had sharp, commanding features, a strong nose, thin lips curved in a faint smile, and eyes that seemed to pierce through the black and white image. Even in monochrome, his presence was magnetic. She read the name beneath his photo, Nolan Barrett. She was certain she had never met this man in her life. What on earth was going on? Eliza snapped a photo of the certificate and sent it via WhatsApp to a contact with a black avatar. "Help me figure out who this is." The reply came instantly, "Got it." Only then did Eliza tuck the certificate away and ride her old electric scooter toward the Monroe estate. Today was her half-sister Leela's betrothal ceremony. Her future husband was coming over for the formal engagement. The estate was lavishly decorated. Servants bustled about, and a few temp workers had been hired for the occasion. Eliza parked her scooter discreetly in a corner and walked past murmuring staff. "Who is she? She's so pretty." SHH, that's the illegitimate daughter the boss never acknowledges. Her mom was the mistress. When Mrs. Monroe was about to give birth, the mistress showed up pregnant too. They gave birth on the same day. Can you believe it? At least Eliza knows her place. She moved out in junior high and hasn't been back since. I wonder why she's here today. Eliza kept her gaze low and her expression unreadable as she entered the grand living room. Her mother, Ruby Whittaker, was waiting at the door. Still elegant despite her age, Ruby grabbed her arm and pulled her upstairs. "Come with me to see your sister. Did you get the marriage certificate?" Eliza's voice was flat. "Yes." Technically it was true, though the groom was a complete stranger. "Good, remember your place. Caleb Barrett is your sister's fiancé. He's from a noble family. Someone like you could never hope for that. Only Leela is worthy of him." A flicker of mockery passed through Eliza's eyes. Caleb Barrett, the golden grandson of Oceanian's elite Barrett family, had pursued her relentlessly through college, only to propose to Leela on graduation day. When Ruby found out, she had demanded Eliza find someone else to marry immediately, snuffing out any chance of a future with Caleb. That was always the way. If there was even a hint of competition between her and Leela, Ruby would force Eliza to step aside. Because she was the illegitimate daughter, her very existence was a stain. As a child, she had been conditioned to believe that enduring humiliation was her duty, but not anymore. "This is the last time," Eliza said coldly. Ruby's lips tightened. "I heard you." They arrived at Leela's room. The girl looked like royalty in her designer gown, surrounded by glittering jewels. Eliza, dressed simply, stood tall despite the contrast. Leela smiled sweetly. "Eliza, what brings you here?" Before she could answer, Ruby cut in. "Leela, Eliza got married today." Leela blinked. "So soon? Who's the guy? Is he better than Caleb?" Ruby scoffed. "Of course not. No one in Oceanian is better than young Mr. Barrett. Do you really think she could find a decent man? The loser she married didn't even dare show his face. He's probably too ashamed of his poverty. Leela tilted her head. That's strange. Eliza's always been beautiful. Caleb wouldn't have chased her for 4 years if she were. Ruby snapped, what's the use of beauty? A ragged shoe only fits a tattered sock. Caleb only saw her as a passing amusement. You, Leela, are his true match. Eliza frowned. The man in the certificate photo didn't look like a loser at all, but she didn't bother arguing. Just then, Leela struggled to bend over in her tight dress to put on her heels. She smiled at Eliza. Ruby shoved her forward. Don't just stand there, help your sister. Eliza's eyes turned cold. Help her yourself. Ruby's voice rose. Eliza Monroe, what's this attitude? You think you've grown wings just because you're married. Your husband is a nobody. You'll come crawling back to us one day. The Monroe family raised you, you owe us. At that moment, a tall figure appeared in the doorway. It was Taylor Monroe, their father. He frowned. A distinguished guest is about to arrive and you're arguing. Leela stayed silent, playing the innocent. Ruby, ever the actress, clutched her chest. It's this ungrateful girl. She's looking down on her mother just because she got married. Taylor turned to Eliza. You got married. Why didn't you let us help you find someone decent? Where's the certificate? Eliza hesitated, then pulled the printout from her bag. But before she could hand it over, Ruby snatched it. Let me see what kind of loser you married. Leela asked curiously, Dad, who's the guest that has you so worked up? Taylor's expression lit up. It's Nolan Barrett. Eliza's heart stopped. Who? The name on the certificate echoed in her mind. Nolan Barrett. The man she was supposedly married to. A glass door separated the quiet of the garden from the lively chatter inside the Monroe estate. Eliza Monroe stood just beyond it, her gaze locked on Nolan Barrett. He was unreadable. The moment she called him honey, his expression turned colder. His dark eyes, sharp and emotionless, flicked over her with a chill that made her skin prickle. Without a word, he turned to head back inside. Eliza stepped forward, blocking his path. Nolan frowned slightly. Out of my way. His voice was deep, smooth, and laced with a quiet authority that made people instinctively listen. But Eliza wasn't intimidated. You don't recognize me? She asked, her voice steady. Nolan looked down at her, his gaze piercing. Should I? He had noticed her the moment he entered the Monroe home. Unlike the sycophantic glances from others, her eyes had been clear, direct. She didn't fawn over him. She didn't flinch when he looked back. She simply stared. Curious, calm, and unafraid. She was beautiful. Fair skin, expressive eyes, and a small mole near the corner of her eye. She stood quietly in the corner, yet something about her radiated defiance. He had thought she was different. But then she called him honey. Nolan's patience thinned. Miss, I'm married, please behave. Eliza blinked, stunned. He didn't recognize her, yet he claimed to be married. Was there a mistake at the Civil Affairs Bureau? May I ask who your wife is? She pressed. That has nothing to do with you, he replied curtly. Eliza pulled out the photocopy of the marriage certificate and held it up. Mr. Barrett, this man is you, right? Nolan glanced at the document. His eyes narrowed when he saw the name beside his, Eliza Monroe. He looked back at her, his tone mocking. Miss Monroe, forgeries should at least look convincing. Originals aren't that expensive. Without waiting for a response, Nolan turned and strode through the garden toward the parking lot. Eliza chased after him, but 2 bodyguards in black suits stepped in her way. Mr. Barrett, this document is genuine, she called out. You can verify it with the Civil Affairs Bureau. But Nolan didn't stop. He climbed into the car and drove off. His personal assistant lingered behind and returned to the living room, where he was met by Leela Monroe. Leela had seen Eliza speaking with Nolan but hadn't heard their exchange. Watching Nolan leave and Eliza speed off on her scooter, she asked, "Why did Mr. Barrett leave? Did someone offend him?" The assistant smiled politely. "Mr. Barrett had urgent matters to attend to. Could you please inform the elders?" He hadn't reprimanded Eliza. That meant he didn't hold it against her. Leela nodded and escorted the assistant out. After lunch and finalizing the wedding date, the rest of the Barrett family departed. Taylor Monroe paced nervously. "Why did Mr. Barrett leave so suddenly? Did we do something wrong?" Leela's eyes darkened. She remembered how distracted Caleb had been all day, how Eliza had clung to Nolan. "Dad," she said, "I saw Eliza pestering Mr. Barrett. He looked furious when he left. He even left a message." "What message?" "He said you should teach your daughter better." Leela bit her lip. "If Eliza keeps acting like this, the Barretts might think we're undisciplined." Taylor's face turned pale. Meanwhile, Eliza rode her scooter through the winding streets, trying to catch up to Nolan's car. But he was long gone. Her phone rang. "Boss," said Samuel, her assistant, "a lot of people are digging into Dr. Cross lately." Eliza raised an eyebrow. "They haven't found anything, right?" "Of course not. No one would ever guess that Dr. Cross, the genius who cracked hydrogen fuel, is actually a harmless-looking young woman fresh out of college." "Anything else?" she asked, cutting off his ramble. "Oh yes, I found info on Nolan Barrett." "Go on." Nolan is the second son of the Barrett patriarch. Rumor has it he was violent and uncontrollable as a child, so they sent him overseas. Everyone thought the family business would go to his older brother, Caleb's father. But last week, Nolan came back and forced the old man to retire. Now he controls the entire Barrett group. Samuel paused. "Didn't you hire someone random for a fake marriage today? How did the groom turn out to be a cold-blooded tycoon?" "Boss, if your marital status isn't stable, it'll affect the IPO." Eliza sighed. "Find his contact info and schedule. I need to talk to him again." She had agreed to Ruby's ridiculous demand for a quick marriage, because being legally married would help stabilize her company's image before going public. But now she is married to a stranger, a powerful one, and she had no idea what kind of trap she'd walked into. A divorce would be the cleanest solution. She hung up and rubbed her temples. Meeting Nolan wouldn't be easy. He was always surrounded by bodyguards, and she'd already made a poor first impression by calling him honey. She sighed and started her scooter again, heading home. Her neighborhood was quiet, a city village on the outskirts. She had lived there since junior high after leaving the Monroe estate. It was old but familiar. As she turned a corner, an elderly woman suddenly stepped into the road. Eliza slammed the brakes, narrowly avoiding her. At first, she thought the woman was trying to provoke an accident, but something was off. The woman was small and frail but well-dressed. Around her neck hung a tag with a phone number and a note. "If you find this lady, please call. Reward offered." "Alzheimer's." Eliza pulled out her phone to dial the number. But before she could, the old woman grabbed her wrist, her cloudy eyes suddenly bright. "Granddaughter-in-law," she exclaimed. "You're my granddaughter-in-law." Eliza's mouth twitched. She'd been single for 22 years. Now she has 2 husbands. Was the Civil Affairs Bureau running a husband giveaway? She chuckled. "Granny, who's your grandson?" The old woman blinked, then smiled. "Oh right, Nolan Barrett." The elderly woman blinked rapidly, struggling to recall. "His name is Lewis. What's his surname?" Her lips moved, but no sound came. Her brows furrowed in frustration as the name slipped away again. Eliza Monroe gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "It's okay, ma'am. Don't worry if you can't remember." She dialed the number on the tag around the woman's neck, hopping to reach her family. Meanwhile, just a few blocks away, Nolan Barrett sat in the back of a sleek black Bentley. His expression was grim, and the air inside the car felt suffocating. Tom Mercer, his assistant, sat stiffly in the front seat, barely daring to breathe. "I'm sorry, sir. I failed you. I lost old Mrs. Barrett." Nolan didn't respond. His silence was more terrifying than any reprimand. Mrs. Barrett had a habit of drifting into her own world. No one expected her to suddenly regain clarity and slip away unnoticed. Security footage showed she had taken a bus to the suburbs, alone. The area was run down, with spotty surveillance coverage. A manual search was their only option. Then Nolan's phone rang. He answered immediately. A calm, feminine voice came through. "Hello, I have the old lady you're looking for." The temperature in the car seemed to drop several degrees. Tom scrambled to trace the call. Others prepared to alert the police. Nolan's voice was low and steady. "How much money do you want?" The woman chuckled. "Just kidding. I just wanted to remind you to take better care of your elders." She gave her address and hung up. Tom exhaled in relief. What a cheeky do-gooder. But Nolan wasn't amused. He stared at his phone, eyes narrowing. That voice, it sounded familiar. 5 minutes later, the Bentley pulled up to the address, but the woman who made the call was gone. Only a police officer stood with Mrs. Barrett, who looked perfectly content. Nolan stepped out and approached her. "Grandma, how did you end up here?" "Mrs. Barrett smiled mysteriously. "I came to see my granddaughter-in-law. She lives nearby." Nolan sighed. "Grandma, I don't have a wife." "Impossible, I met her," she insisted. "That heartless girl handed me over to the police and left. Quick, give me your phone." He handed it over. She scribbled the number from his recent calls into her notebook with shaky hands. At last, she had her granddaughter-in-law's contact information. Eliza, meanwhile, had already left the scene. She wasn't comfortable with excessive gratitude or attention. When she saw the police patrolling, she handed the old woman over and quietly returned home. The next morning, her phone rang. "Kara, come to the university immediately," said Professor Alden Shaw, her advisor. Eliza hopped on her e-bike and rode to Oceanian University. As she entered Professor Shaw's office, she was met with an unpleasant surprise. Leila Monroe and Ruby Whittaker were already there. Eliza's eyes narrowed. Both she and Leila attended Oceanian University, the most prestigious school in town. Leila had earned her spot with top grades. Eliza had chosen a less popular major, energy and power, so she wouldn't outshine Leila. She kept her grades modest and focused on building her company. But 2 years ago, new energy became a hot topic. Leila switched majors, and once again they were classmates. It wasn't strange for Leila to be here, but why was Ruby present? Before Eliza could ask, Professor Shaw spoke gravely. "Kara, your postgraduate recommendation has been revoked." Eliza's eyes widened. "Why?" "Your mother claims your conduct and background are unsuitable for advanced study," he said, frowning. "Is there a misunderstanding between you two? You should apologize. You have a bright future. Don't throw it away over personal issues." Leila sighed dramatically. "Professor Shaw, I'm sure Kara's mother only wants what's best for her." She turned to Eliza. "You offended Mr. Barrett. He made it clear he wants you gone from Oceanian." Eliza blinked. Mr. Barrett. She realized Leila meant Nolan. But all she did was speak to him briefly. He didn't seem angry. Was he really that petty? Or was Leila lying again? Leila stepped closer and handed her a plain ticket. "Dad bought this for you. He said you should go overseas to avoid trouble. Even the Monroe family won't be able to protect you if you stay." Eliza's eyes darkened. Avoid trouble, huh? They just wanted her gone. She glanced at the ticket. Destination, Argentina. The farthest country from Creera. They didn't want her to come back. She shoved the ticket away. "Don't bother." Leila looked concerned. "Are you worried about expenses? Here's $6,000. It's all I have in savings. I'll send more once I get my allowance." Eliza almost laughed. The prestigious Monroe family's daughter only had $6,000. Before she could respond, Ruby snatched the card from Leela's hand. "Isla, what are you doing? We already bought her a ticket. That's more than enough." She turned to Eliza. "Pack your things and leave. I've already processed your university withdrawal." Eliza stared at her. "Who gave you the right to decide that?" "I'm your mother. Besides, with your grades, postgraduate study is a waste. You might not even graduate. Better to start working abroad." Professor Shaw interjected. "Ma'am, you're mistaken. Kara has a solid academic foundation." Ruby cut him off. "Professor, don't defend her. I know her better than anyone. She's only applying because Isla is. She needs to stop comparing herself to Isla." Professor Shaw looked stunned. Then he turned to Leela. "You're applying for postgraduate study, but you didn't take the exam or receive a recommendation." Leela smiled modestly. "I'm going through a special admission route." If a renowned professor personally recommended a student, they could bypass the standard process. Professor Shaw nodded. "May I ask who's recommending you?" Leela's voice was soft and proud. "Dr. Vivian Cross. His research on hydrogen fuel was a breakthrough. He patented it and earned his doctorate." Eliza froze. Her eyes widened. "Who did you say?" "Dr. Cross." Eliza Monroe frowned. "Why didn't I know I was supposed to recruit Leela?" Professor Alden Shaw looked surprised. "You know Dr. Cross?" Leela Monroe gave a modest smile. "It's such a coincidence. My mom helped Dr. Cross get through school back in the day. After he succeeded, he found our family and said my mom was his lifesaver. For the past few years, he's been providing technical support to our company. He wouldn't refuse any of my requests." Eliza raised her eyebrows slightly. When she was young in the Monroe household, she had relied on Nora Cross's care to survive. After launching her own career, Eliza created the identity of Dr. Vivian Cross to secretly repay Nora's kindness. Under that name, she had been helping Nora's companies with technical issues for free. But when had Dr. Cross become so compliant with Leela's requests? That was a complete exaggeration. Still, Professor Shaw believed Leela. "Where is Dr. Cross teaching now?" Leela replied confidently. "I promised the dean I'd invite Dr. Cross to teach at our university." "That's wonderful." Professor Shaw was overjoyed and turned to Eliza. "Eliza, your research direction is the same as Dr. Cross's. When the time comes, I'll introduce you to him. If Dr. Cross is willing to speak for you, there might still be hope for your postgraduate recommendation." Leela feigned concern. "Professor Shaw, are you sure? The Barrett family is the richest in Oceanian, and they allocate a lot of research funds to our university every year." Professor Shaw waved off the concern. "Dr. Cross is in high demand. I've heard that foreign universities like Hedon and Oxford have sent him invitations, and many businesses want to invest in him. If Dr. Cross steps up, the university will definitely choose him." Leela sighed dramatically. "But Dr. Cross is doing this for my mother's sake. If it were just me, he'd still help. But Eliza is my father's illegitimate daughter and stands in opposition to my mom, Eliza. Should I ask Dr. Cross for you?" Eliza replied coolly, "Don't bother." She found Leela ridiculous, like a clown performing for applause. Eliza smiled faintly and turned to Professor Shaw. "Professor, don't worry. As you know, I never planned to pursue postgraduate studies." Professor Shaw was stunned. He felt a pang of sorrow. He had discovered Eliza's talent early on and had fought to get her a recommendation. He hadn't expected things to unravel like this. Tears welled in his eyes. "Then I'll write you a job reference." Ruby Whittaker sneered. "Don't waste your time. She offended Mr. Barrett and she still wants to find a job in Oceanian. She must be dreaming." Professor Shaw's expression hardened. I don't believe anyone can do whatever they want in Oceanian. If she can't find a job, she can be my teaching assistant. I'll hire her myself. A warm feeling surged in Eliza's chest. She explained gently, Professor, it's just a misunderstanding between me and Mr. Barrett. Everything will be fine once we clear it up. You don't need to worry. Professor Shaw sighed. If you can clear it up, come back, be my student again. Eliza looked into his hopeful eyes and nodded. Sure, I'll come back. It would be nice to be a tutor at Oceanian University. But across the room, Leela clenched her fists. She didn't understand. She was the top student. Why did Professor Shaw only value Eliza, who was just average? Was this old man mesmerized by Eliza's pretty face? Leela was furious. She glanced at Ruby, then said sharply, Eliza, are you going to bother Mr. Barrett again? He's already married, it's not right. Ruby's rage boiled over. Smack! The slap echoed through the office. Eliza's cheek stung. She couldn't believe Ruby had slapped her in front of Professor Shaw. Ruby showed no guilt. She pointed at Eliza's nose and cursed, You ungrateful wretch! After all these years, you've forgotten the rules of the house. Apologize to your sister right now. Promise you'll never see the Barretts again. The warmth in Eliza's eyes vanished, replaced by icy coldness. Clearly, Ruby hadn't taken her seriously when she said, This is the last time. She still treated Eliza like the obedient girl who used to bow to Leela. If she can't be reasoned with, then I won't hold back. Leela watched with satisfaction. When they were little, Eliza would cower before her. She never retaliated when scolded or beaten. After Eliza moved out, they met again in college. Eliza still looked poor, but she was no longer obedient. Leela thought, it seems she hasn't been beaten in years and has forgotten her place. Let Ruby teach her a lesson today. Leela was still thinking this when she saw Eliza slowly walk toward her, presumably to apologize. Leela smiled. But the next moment, smack, smack. Eliza raised her hand and slapped both of Leela's cheeks in quick succession. Leela was stunned, her mind blank from the shock. Ruby screamed and rushed forward. Eliza Monroe, how dare you? Eliza turned around slowly. Her eyes were chilling, like a demon risen from hell, exuding a bloodthirsty aura. Ruby froze in place. What are you going to do? She stammered. You ungrateful wretch, I'm your mother. Are you going to hit me, you unfilial beast? You're a heartless mother. Eliza said coldly, so don't blame me for being unfilial. She stepped closer, her voice sharp. Stop interfering in my life. If you hurt me again, I'll make Leela suffer twice as much. Then she turned to Professor Shaw and bowed deeply. Thank you for everything these past 4 years. I'll be back. Without another word, she walked out. Ruby stood frozen. Only after Eliza left did she rush to Leela's side. Are you okay? How dare that bitch hit you? That's outrageous. Leela touched her swollen cheeks, trembling with rage. Where did she get the courage? Ruby was stunned. Does Mr. Barrett actually like her? That's impossible. She's married. He wouldn't want damaged goods. Leela felt the same. But when she thought of Eliza's stunning face, her confidence wavered. Professor Shaw was still reeling. He looked at Ruby, then at Leela. Is she really Eliza's mother, or Leela? He couldn't shake the feeling that something didn't add up. Just as Eliza stepped out of the university gates, her phone rang. It was Samuel. Boss, he said, breathless, I figured it out. I know why Nolan claimed to be married but doesn't know who you are. The entrance of Oceanian University buzzed with students, their faces lit with energy and ambition. Amid the crowd, Eliza Monroe walked beside her electric scooter, her solitary figure stark against the vibrant backdrop. She licked the swollen corner of her mouth, her voice hoarse. Speak. Samuel's voice came through the phone, steady and informative. The Barrett family may look prestigious from the outside, but their internal strife has been intense for years. The old patriarch favors the eldest son's branch and always intended to pass the family business to them. As the youngest son, Nolan Barrett has been constantly suppressed. Eliza's eyes narrowed. A few years ago, Samuel continued, the old man tried to arrange several marriages for Nolan, none of them trustworthy. The conflict escalated until Nolan publicly announced he had married a woman from an ordinary background. That declaration stopped all further matchmaking. He paused, then added, "But here's the strange part. His wife has never appeared in public. She's never attended a single Barrett family banquet." Samuel's voice dropped, trying to build suspense. "So to sum it up, the truth is—" "I understand," Eliza interrupted. Her mind had already pieced it together. "Have you found his schedule and contact information?" Samuel hesitated. "I've got his schedule for the next few days, but I couldn't find his private number." Eliza remained calm. "Don't worry, I'll find him in person." It wasn't surprising. Someone of Nolan Barrett's status wouldn't have a publicly accessible number. Samuel grew curious. "He's always surrounded by bodyguards. He's not easy to approach. Are you planning to use force or—" Eliza's lips curled into a mischievous smile. "Let's stay low-key for now. Besides, I'm a woman. I can't just storm in." Samuel was speechless. Barrett Group headquarters towered in the heart of Oceanian, a gleaming skyscraper that screamed wealth and power. Eliza adjusted her courier uniform and walked into the lobby, holding a delivery box. She approached the receptionist confidently. "This is a package for Mr. Barrett. He must sign for it personally." The receptionist made a quick call to the secretary's office, then nodded. "You're cleared to go up." Eliza stepped into the exclusive elevator and rode it all the way to the 88th floor. As the doors opened, a vast open space unfolded before her. More than 100 staff worked in the executive secretary department, all serving one man, Nolan Barrett. A secretary came to escort her to the president's office. She knocked. A calm, pleasant voice responded from inside, "Come in." Eliza exhaled in relief. Just as she stepped forward, a tall, lean figure blocked her path. Tom Mercer, Nolan's assistant, eyed her sharply. "Miss Monroe, why are you here?" He remembered her from the Monroe estate the day before. She had harassed his boss, and now she was impersonating a courier. Tom's expression soured. He waved over 2 bodyguards. "What's going on here? How did she get past security? Escort her out immediately." Eliza remained composed. "What do you mean? Is Barrett Group discriminating against couriers?" Tom sneered. "Still playing the victim. We respect every profession, but are you really a courier?" "Yes," Eliza replied coolly. "Then show me your work permit." Without hesitation, Eliza handed it over. Tom blinked, stunned. He examined the permit, expecting a recent registration. Then he saw the date. 8 years ago, he muttered. Was she really a courier? Eliza tilted her head. Is it illegal to work and study at the same time? She raised her voice slightly, addressing the man inside the office. "Mr. Barrett, are you ready to let me do my job now?" A steady voice replied, "Let her in." Eliza gave Tom a smug glance and walked past him. Inside, Nolan Barrett's office was sleek and minimalist. Black, white, and gray tones gave it a cold, commanding atmosphere. He sat behind a massive desk, sleeves rolled up, revealing lean, muscular forearms. A pen rested in his hand. He finished signing a document, then looked up. His dark eyes were unreadable. Eliza stepped forward and pointed to the delivery form. "Mr. Barrett, please sign here." Her fingers were slender, with faint calluses at the tips, evidence of quiet strength. Nolan's gaze lingered on the bruised corner of her lip before he took the pen. Then Eliza spoke, her words sharp and unexpected. "Mr. Barrett, you're not married, are you?" Nolan froze mid-signature. His eyes locked onto hers, cold and penetrating. The pressure in the room shifted. Eliza stood her ground. She was certain. The Civil Affairs Bureau required personal verification for marriage registration. Mistakes were impossible. Nolan had publicly claimed to be married, but he didn't know her. Samuel's investigation had revealed the truth. Nolan had fabricated a wife to escape his family's relentless matchmaking. He had never gone to the Bureau himself. Eliza took a breath. "Mr. Barrett, I know this sounds absurd, but we are legally married." Nolan leaned back, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. "Miss Monroe, don't waste your breath. Even if I weren't married, I wouldn't marry you just to spite Caleb." Eliza paused. So he knew about her history with Caleb Barrett. Did he think she was using this to get revenge? She tried to clarify. "My coming here has nothing to do with Caleb. I'm here to ask you for a divorce." "I'm not interested in your messy relationships," Nolan cut her off. He signed the form and handed it back. "Stop harassing me, or I won't be so polite next time." Eliza's patience wore thin. "Haven't you already done that? You've announced that you want me gone from Oceanian." Nolan raised an eyebrow. "When did I ever?" His phone rang. It was his grandmother's special ringtone. He answered immediately. The caregiver's voice came through. "Mr. Barrett, Mrs. Barrett has gone missing again." Nolan shot to his feet and rushed toward the door. Eliza tried to follow, desperate to finish the conversation, but Tom blocked her path. "Miss Monroe, I suggest you stop here." Eliza sighed. Escorted out of Barrett Group, she returned home at a slow, thoughtful pace. Just as she reached her doorstep, she turned and froze. The elderly woman she had met before was standing behind her. Eliza blinked in disbelief. Before she could speak, the old lady grabbed her wrist. "My granddaughter-in-law, you won't leave me behind again." Eliza Monroe had decorated her modest rental with care. The space was neat, cozy, and warm, her quiet sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. At the small dining table, the elderly woman sat sipping her third glass of water. Eliza watched her, then said seriously, "I really am not your granddaughter-in-law." "Yes, you are," the old lady replied stubbornly, clutching her glass and gulping down another mouthful. Eliza sighed. There was no convincing her otherwise. She pulled out her phone and dialed the number she had saved from their last encounter. The call connected instantly. "Hello," came a voice Eliza faintly recognized. She was about to speak when the old woman snatched the phone from her. Meanwhile, Nolan Barrett was leading a search party through the nearby streets. His expression remained calm, but inside he was deeply anxious. His grandmother, now 87, suffered from Alzheimer's. Her organs were weakening, and any stress could be life-threatening. The moment his phone rang, he answered without hesitation. "Little brat," his grandmother's voice rang out, surprisingly vigorous, "don't come pick me up. I'm with my granddaughter-in-law." Granddaughter-in-law. Nolan's eyes narrowed. The number matched the girl from last time, so his grandmother was with her again. His voice dropped. "Where are you?" "I won't tell you. Do you think I can't find you that way? I forbid you from looking for me or sending anyone after me." Nolan rubbed his forehead and turned to the attending physician. "Can we bring her back by force?" The doctor shook his head. "Old Mrs. Barrett shouldn't be subjected to any stress right now. It's best to go along with her wishes. Besides, that girl from last time didn't seem like a bad person." Nolan clenched his jaw and softened his tone. "Grandma, I need to deliver your medicine." "Don't bother, I brought my medicine with me. Don't worry, just wait while I bring my granddaughter-in-law home." She hung up. The old woman handed the phone back to Eliza. "Done." Eliza stared at her, speechless. What kind of family just leaves their elderly relative with a stranger? Before she could call back, her phone buzzed with a WhatsApp notification. Someone had sent her a friend request using her number. The message read, "Grandson of the old lady." Eliza accepted and saved the contact as grandson. A message arrived almost immediately. "Could you please take care of my grandmother for a while? She hasn't been well recently and can't be stressed." Eliza snorted and began typing, "I can't. I don't run a charity." Before she could finish, a noise came from the kitchen. She rushed over and found the old lady boiling eggs. Eliza raised an eyebrow. "Are you hungry? Eggs won't be enough." "No," the old woman replied, turning around with a gentle smile. "Sweetheart, applying an egg to your face can reduce swelling." Eliza froze. She hadn't realized it herself. After being slapped by Ruby earlier, she had put on a detached front, distancing herself from everything. But the old woman's words pierced through that shell. A flicker of warmth lit Eliza's eyes. She pursed her lips and glanced back at her phone. A new message had arrived. "You've received a transfer of $50,000 from grandson." Another message followed. "This is 1 week's living expenses. If it's not enough, just let me know." Eliza stared at the screen. She deleted her previous message and retyped, "Okay." She didn't know why she was suddenly involved in this. Maybe it was the man's generosity. That had to be it. At the Monroe family home, Leela sat on the living room sofa, her cheeks swollen and red from Eliza's slaps. Tears streamed silently down her face. Ruby Whittaker sat beside her, head lowered. "Leela, that little slut must be jealous that you're marrying into the Barrett family. That's why she did this. Don't cry. When your father comes back, I'll have him teach her a lesson." Nora Cross, despite her illness, dragged herself downstairs. Her voice was weak, but her tone was firm. "Eliza isn't that kind of person. You must have done something to upset her first." Leela clenched her fists and lowered her head, speaking in a pitiful tone. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have accepted Caleb's proposal. She likes him so much. She must have gone after Mr. Barrett because of it." Nora's pale face looked troubled. How could that be? Eliza was always well-mannered as a child. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so determined to move out. Ruby scoffed. "She must have been led astray after leaving. She's heartless. Today she hit Leela and tried to hit me, her own mother." Nora still refused to believe it. Leela's eyes flickered. She suddenly said, "Mom, maybe it's because we haven't cared enough about her over the years." Ruby jumped on the idea. "That's because she never comes home. Nora, you used to be so good to her, but she never visits. She's an ungrateful wretch. She doesn't remember your kindness. She's cold-hearted through and through." Nora was stunned. She had always treated Eliza fairly, even feeding her by hand when she was little. When Eliza moved out, Nora had told her to visit when she could. But Eliza hadn't returned once. Had she really grown ungrateful? Leela saw Nora's hesitation and smiled inwardly. She changed the subject. "Mom, can you invite Dr. Cross to be a mentor at Oceanian University?" Nora immediately refused. "Leela, we can't take advantage of someone's kindness. Dr. Cross has already done so much for our family business." Leela wasn't surprised. She smiled sweetly. "That's not what I mean. Oceanian University is the best school around. Maybe Dr. Cross wants to teach there too. We could help him build a relationship with the school. It would be a way to repay him." Nora considered the idea and opened WhatsApp. "Then I'll ask him." Leela sat beside her, blinking innocently. "Dr. Cross has done so much for us. His debt is repaid. Shouldn't we host a dinner in his honor? Wouldn't it be better to ask him in person?" Dr. Cross had always been obliging to Nora. Leela was confident that when he came, she could ask to be his postgraduate student. He wouldn't refuse. Nora was convinced and sent a message. "South, Do you have time to come by the house? When Eliza saw the message, her heart skipped a beat. Why was Nora suddenly asking to see her? Was her health worsening? She thought of Nora's persistent cough. Eliza stood up. I'm free, should I come now? Eliza Monroe clenched her jaw, a wave of anxiety tightening her chest. She was just about to leave when a WhatsApp message popped up from Nora Cross. There's no rush. Are you working this Saturday? I'd like to buy you lunch. Only then did Eliza realize her concern had made her overly tense. Lunch with Nora. A bitter smile tugged at her lips. 10 years ago, after moving out of the Monroe residence, she returned the first weekend. She had quietly entered the backyard and watched through the glass window as Nora, Leela, and Taylor Monroe laughed and chatted. The joy on Nora's face was something Eliza had never seen before. Ruby Whittaker had whispered beside her, "Do you see that? Without you around, they're a real family of 3. If you really care about Nora, you shouldn't stay away from her." Eventually, Eliza had left without saying a word. Since then, she only returned on Nora's birthday each year, leaving a small gift at the doorstep. After so many years, maybe it was time to see her again. Eliza replied to the message, "I should be the one buying. Let's meet this Saturday at 6 p.m. See you there." She sent over the location of a quiet restaurant. Visiting the Monroe house would only stir up unnecessary conflict. Meeting outside would allow her to speak with Nora peacefully and check on her health. Nora responded, "All right, see you then." After ending the chat, Eliza noticed several new messages from grandson. "As my grandmother ages, she's becoming more like a child with a hot temperament. You'll need a lot of patience. She has trouble sleeping. Her nights are restless. She needs to take 2 blue pills a day, one in the morning and one at night." There were 5 messages in total. The last one read, "The above is forwarded from our family doctor's instructions. I'm grateful for your help. If Granny doesn't feel well, please contact me immediately." Reading through them, Eliza quietly entered the bedroom and recorded a short video of the elderly woman sleeping peacefully. She sent it to grandson. Not far down the street, 2 vehicles were parked discreetly. The first was a fully equipped minivan resembling a small suite. Inside, Nolan Barrett sat in a black suit on a leather couch, working on his laptop. In the corner, the family doctor sat with a stern expression, ready for any emergency. Changing environments could disrupt Mrs. Barrett's sleep, which was critical for her fragile health. Even minor negligence could be dangerous. The second vehicle was stocked with emergency equipment, prepared to respond instantly if anything happened. They were parked close to her location. If you enjoyed this narrative, please share your feedback in the comments section. Are you interested in a continuation?